To start things off, the circular economy has been around for years, yet I would like to clarify what exactly it means to our audience.
Where we take things from the nature or from some base of resource and thereafter make something with it and thereafter just discard it. If whatever that is not consumed is discarded onto the environment and we tend to forget it. This is the process that had gone on for many, I wouldn't say centuries, even longer than that. That was called a linear economy because we take things, make things, consume it and throw away the leftovers. In simple rural lifestyle or that kind of an economy, they may cultivate a lot of things and bring it home, prepare and eat it. And if there are any leftovers, they will just put it into a pit in the garden. That is a perfect circular economy. Ellen MacArthur came out with this concept of circular economy. I would say an engineering approach to define what sustainability is. I think that's a good enough explanation on circular economy.
What do you understand by the term circular economy? And how can we live our lives in a way that we practice its principles? Find out with Kithsiri Wijesundera in our show tonight. Stay tuned.
Some bonds give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LMDtv Finance.
Hello and welcome to LMDtv. The topic of conversation today is the circular economy, and I'm here with the principal consultant at Kiwi Strategy Consultants, Kithsiri Wijesundera. Mr. Wijesundera, it's very nice to have you on our show.
Thank you.
To start things off, the concept of the circular economy has been around for years, yet I would like to clarify what exactly it means to our audience. Can you give us a brief introduction to the concept, please?
Well, we are used to living in an economy where we take things from the nature or from some base of resource and thereafter make something with it and thereafter just discard it. If whatever that is not consumed is discarded onto the environment and we tend to forget it. So this is the process that had gone on for many, I wouldn't say centuries, even longer than that. And that was called a linear economy because we take things, make things, consume it and throw away the leftovers. So this has resulted in most of the complaints that we are now making about pollution because there was no responsible disposal of the leftovers. When it comes to natural biodegradable matter, it didn't matter so much as long as the quantities are small, right? I make that qualification deliberately because when the quantities get bigger, that is also a problem. So in simple rural lifestyle or that kind of an economy, they may cultivate a lot of things and bring it home, prepare and eat it. And if there are any leftovers, they will just put it into a pit in the garden. And it will get digested there and it will probably become compost or manure for further cultivation and stuff. That is a perfect circular economy. And it is from that natural circle, this concept came up. If you go a little further, if you take the human beings out and if you look at what is happening in a deep forest or something like that, where what it takes place is exactly the circular economy. Because the trees may grow on whatever the nutrients that they can get from the soil, and they will use oxygen from the air, probably moisture and carbon dioxide will be released. But then eventually, after so many years or whatever, the tree will collapse onto the ground and it will perish, and it will become part of the soil. So that was a perfect circular economy. But with the man-made things, it all changed. And with economic advancement, we have gone for more and more conveniences for the human beings. And we will say this is safety, this is nutrition, this is health. Likewise, we have added more and more products into it. And especially the subject area which I'm trying to cover is packaging. Packaging had really started and evolved to give extension of life to food, pharmaceuticals, and give convenience for so many things. And some products are today in the market because of packaging. You can't really separate the packaging and the market. So in that situation, nobody really thought about what will happen to the post-consumer materials. So it was a lot of people assumed it will take the natural path. But it has not taken a natural path because the nature is unable to digest those materials, leftover or rather post-consumer materials which are not being consumed, and bring it back to the nature. So that is where the circular economy has become very important, because the concept of sustainability was being talked about for a long time. We have been talking about corporate social responsibility and even triple bottom lines and things like that. But to me, those are only words and political slogans, just like what we hear in Sri Lanka. When Ellen MacArthur came out with this concept of circular economy, I was very happy when I heard that, because that was the first time somebody had tried to take I would say, an engineering approach or a very practical approach to define what the sustainability is and how to achieve sustainability in measurable and meaningful terms. So I think that's a good enough explanation on circular economy.
I like it how it's simple enough, but complex also. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kithsiri. You're known to be an advocate of the principles of the circular economy. And I know you talk to a lot of communities, a lot of people. I don't know whether it's correct to ask this question, but who or among whom do you think the most amount of awareness should be kind of sparked?
Well, actually, all the corporate leaders should be aware of this. And even in Sri Lanka, the government is also too much involved in business. So all those who are involved in manufacturing things, and even in some of the service industries, the top leaders have to have a good idea about what circular economy is and how they can fit into that. Because right now they may talk about sustainability, because I know with the annual reports, they have a sustainability report also coming out, and they get even awards for it and all that. But actually, if you really look at in practical terms, what have they done? It's very hard to find anything meaningful, because corporate social responsibility had become really a joke. They do some social work or some charity work and call it social responsibility. But actually, that is not the social responsibility of a business. Because what you have to look at is, when you do your business and make profits, in the process, you are bearing the cost of materials, energy, and you even complain about it and all that. And you try to control it. But there is a part which you totally ignore. Because if before the environmental laws came in, actually industries were just disposing their even industrial waste, factory waste, into the atmosphere. And they leave it to local authorities or municipalities to deal with it. So that is completely wrong. That is the major concept that is built in this sustainability and circular economic concept. Because that cost of disposal without causing any harm to the environment is the responsibility of the industry, is the responsibility of the manufacturer. And that is where the circular economy comes in. So if the circular economy is the basic principle on which they are driving their businesses, then at the time of designing a product, they will look at how to minimize the damage or to eliminate the damage, because now they are talking about zero waste. Eliminate waste. So that may be in the form of solid waste or liquid waste or even air, polluted air. So to prevent all that. So that is really the circular economy. And then most of the, okay, there are polymer manufacturers who manufacture plastics. So in Sri Lanka, there's nobody doing that. Thereafter, we use the polymers and convert it into films and solid packages, etc., etc. So packaging manufacturers sell that to people who use that for packing, right? They pack their beverages or food products or yogurts or milk or whatever, and then they distribute those product-filled packages throughout the island, right? So who is scattering plastics in the country is really those brand owners who are distributing their products throughout the country. And thereafter, it goes through the distributor retailer system and goes to some home or the other, into some kitchen, or maybe some people will use it in the outdoor also when they are having parties or going on trips or whatever. They will use various snacks. And after the snack is eaten or the beverage is consumed, they don't bother about the empty package, because empty package is a burden to them. So they just throw it out of the window of the vehicle sometimes where they are traveling. So that has caused all these problems. So municipalities have done a fairly good job, because if relatively compared to, I think in Sri Lanka, the cities are cleaner when you look at some of the other cities in the South Asia. So that is because at least there is some collection and disposal. But in Sri Lanka, we never looked at good disposal, right? We never looked at responsible disposal. I think I'm probably answering some of the questions you're going to ask in the future. So you may have to make that addition. So let me continue this. And so as a result of that, we will only look at solid waste dumping. You dump the solid waste somewhere. So that is the same, that individual household attitude being extended to municipalities and local authorities. So they were only looking at dumping without looking at the repercussions. So in Colombo, we had huge dumps building up. I think first one was somewhere close to Matakkuliya or somewhere, and then that was unbearable. They shifted it to Meetotamulla. When 32 people died, then everybody's eyes opened. More than 60 houses got destroyed overnight in a fraction of a time. So it was worse than a landslide. So when that happened, everybody's attention went into handling of the solid waste problem. So then they started talking about solid waste management. So after that only, the government and other organizations have looked at it in a rational manner. Anyway, Aruwakkalu Central Landfill is still not ready. Even if it is ready, transporting garbage from Colombo to there is still not resolved, because, okay, it is to be done over the railway track, but there's quite a lot of work need to be done to transport it without causing further environmental problems on the way. So that is where Sri Lanka is.
It's time to take a very short break, but we'll soon be back to talk more about the circular economy.
What makes a truly awesome insurance company? Is it the skills to manage big numbers and big responsibilities? Well, that's definitely part of it. But there's more. It's the people. They're awesome. Super passionate about looking out for others and putting in their time for people's finances. It's not just the people. It's how we do things that's awesome. From being trendsetters of the industry to being connectors or inventors. It's about well-being and how we achieve it. Our teams hustle non-stop to meet the needs of the people. That's why we're on the rise. But it's not just about how we do things either. It's about how we improve things. Helping our clients thrive in a world that's full of awesome goals to achieve. Making the maximum out of the minimum. But wait, there's more to it. There's one last thing that truly makes an insurance company awesome. It's that we care about our people and our customers. All of this combined, it's been a pretty awesome year. And we're excited for tomorrow.
Display your brand message on digital screens at prime locations. The largest digital advertising network in Sri Lanka. Emerging Media.
Welcome back to the show. We're in conversation with the principal consultant at Kiwi Strategy Consultants, Kithsiri Wijesundera. Mr. Kithsiri, you recently published a paper on something very interesting, extended producer responsibility and how we can actually use it to help local industries. It sounds like a new concept, at least to me. Can you give us the main highlights from your publication and explain to us what extended producer responsibility is?
Yes, actually, it is not, it's a new concept to Sri Lanka, but all this started in Germany long ago. When I was the director of the packaging center, that's 1987 to 92. Most of the youngsters today were not even born at that time. But even at that time, Germany had started. Germany had seen this problem of packaging someday or the other. So they first introduced something called a Blue Angels scheme, where the packaging manufacturers have to certify that their packages are recyclable. And then they said you have to collect the empty packages, but that of course didn't succeed. Then they realized there again, it's the brand owners who does the filling and packing and scatter this packaging all over the countryside. So they called it dual system. So they brought in the brand owners. It is that dual system and the brand owners were told, you are responsible for collecting your packaging after the consumers have consumed the products. And you have to make sure it is recycled, right? So they gradually develop the systems and the regulations that are required for implementation, because only if the systems are developed, there are free riders, right? If there's a proper system, you can just dispose your material to that and wait aside. So that was not tolerated. So they had to have the controls in these systems that are being developed so that there are no free riders. If you are putting a product into the market, you are responsible for taking it back. That is really producer responsibility. So even if you import from another country, the importer is responsible. Importer is considered as a producer there. So these are all called obliged enterprises. The obligation is they should take the post-consumer empty packs back and make sure it is properly disposed of in the form of recycling, one way or the other, because recycling is another vast subject. Sometimes you just put the waste material into an incinerator and say that you are recycling it. It's nothing like that. That is causing actually the air pollution if it is not a properly controlled incinerator, and the energy is wasted. So then recovery of energy is maybe another one. So these are actually low-level diversions. Now those are not called recycling; those are called diversions. Diverting from where? Diverted from free disposal, irresponsible disposal into water streams. That's how it gets into oceans and also to the land, right? Even on land, solid waste disposal, unless it is a biodegradable material in a proper composting area, it is a problem, right? Because, I mean, we heard stories about the deer in Trincomalee. When they die, when you cut open, they have polythene inside their stomachs. And elephants, of course, are eating the polythene with food, and of course, there hadn't been any complaints. Probably the elephants can digest polythene also. I don't know. I'm joking. So these were some of the big problems in Sri Lanka, because Hinguraggoda or Min area or Polonnaruwa, those areas, even Dambulla, they tend to discard, the municipalities local bodies tend to discard their solid waste into open dumps. So there it is mixed and it has plastics and also some vegetable and fruit remnants. So elephants come to eat those, but they cannot separate it with their Honda. So they tend to eat the whole stuff. So it's a bad thing and it should not be done because that's a problem on biodiversity. And also somebody might say that we are violating the animal rights. So, so these are all connected. So that is where extended produce responsibility has now become a major tool used in many countries to ensure that original linear economy which we talked about into a circular economy. Because how it becomes circular is after the consumers use the product, you collect the used packaging in a responsible manner, and then probably keep it clean and keep it properly separated according to different, we call it polymers, the different plastics, different plastic polymers, and then send it to recycling units to recycle it. Ideally, after recycling, the recyclates should be good enough to be used again to make packaging. So it's called bottle to bottle conversion as a popular term. It's not only bottle to bottle, even other materials should be converted in that manner. So when that happens, the materials go round and round in that value chain. So the value chain is not linear, value chain is circular. So anyway, that is the circular economy we want to establish. And circular economy is a major solution, major tool, major technique for achieving any sustainability.
That's a very interesting concept, Mr. Kithsiri. If I ask you, what are the challenges that you see that we will face in Sri Lanka, or that we are facing in Sri Lanka when it comes to implementing EPR?
Sri Lankan government, though they put it down on their solid waste management policy, which was put out in the probably late 1990s after the Mito collapse, they said EPR is the solution, but they did not know what to do. But anyway, Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka, that is the largest gathering or the strongest gathering of the top and the leading businesses in Sri Lanka. So they said, okay, we will implement EPR because they were worried that the government will bring in various bans, which is causing chaos. Because the NGOs were taking leadership and NGOs were forcing. Even today, there are people who says plastic should be banned, plastic should be banned. But they don't give an alternative solution. If there's a better solution that can be introduced, I'm sure that nobody in the industry or businesses will refuse that. They will take it, but there's no solution. It has to gradually develop, right? We have to look at the harmful aspects and gradually develop. So when that EPR implementation came in, the Chamber of Commerce took over, but then they realized they don't have funds because it needs quite a lot of work. Developing capabilities and even studying what it is and how to implement it, and certain expertise is needed. Then some software developments are needed, setting up of organizations are required, and setting up of infrastructure required. So they didn't have funds. So they put up a proposal for USAID. So USAID accepted it and they agreed to fund it, and they floated the project. This project was not only for Sri Lanka. USAID has a project called Clean Cities, CCBO, Blue Ocean and Clean Cities project. Under that, they started this for 4 countries. Sri Lanka was one of them. Vietnam, Indonesia, and Philippines were the other 3 countries. For these 4 countries, they started it around 2017, I think, 2017 or 18. No, 2018, I think they signed the agreement with the Chamber of Commerce and started it. Today is 2024. And the other 3 countries have well set up and running EPR systems. But Sri Lanka, we are still talking about it, right? And another thing which I noticed was in Sri Lanka, the big users and big polluters, I would say, of the environment is the big companies. So they are all multinationals. If you take the beverage companies, they are multinationals. So in all other countries, it is those companies which has taken the leadership in implementing EPR from the industry side. They have set up voluntary systems. And then they found out what kind of legislation is required to make it formal. And also they agreed on the financial contributions they have to make to get the collection systems going, right? So under EPR, there is something called a PRO, Producer Responsibility Organization, need to be set up. It could be a profit-making organization or it could be a non-profit-making organization. When many companies join together, they love to have non-profit-making, otherwise they'll be killing each other inside the organization to share profits. So non-profit-making organizations have been set up in many countries and it has worked very well. And with that, gradually the government also learns, because in Sri Lanka, public officials, our civil administration lacks knowledge about most of these aspects. So probably they can easily pick up the legal side of it, but they don't understand the field level ground problems. So there has to be an understanding of both sides, and even technology. What is plastics and what are the different polymers that are being used for what purpose, and all that would be really required to control it. But on the other hand, if you really look at it, when you plan a business, you have to decide what material are you going to use in your business. And there again, you need to minimize the usage of it, because that itself is a concept of circular economy. You don't use resources more than what is really required. Thereafter, you also have to look at how are you going to recover the material after post-use, right? Now, another thing which I would love to say is, everybody knows about Panchikavatta. So when a vehicle is used for a long time and it can no longer be repaired, we put it to Panchikavatta. And they do the cannibalizing of it and take whatever the parts that are possible. And some of it may even go to the foundries, but rest of it probably goes for fabrication shops or whatever. And I think when the steel melting started in Orwala, some of it may have gone there for melting. So that way, again, we have the circular economy for those.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Mr. Kithsiri, and thank you so much for all the information and the learnings. But before we let you go, I would like to ask you to share any closing thoughts you have with our audience.
So this is why you cannot think of a smart, bright idea in this world without really understanding the overall implications of that business. So that is the responsibility for the business leaders. When they are planning new businesses, they have to look at what kind of a chain I am getting into. Now it's not a simple chain, it's a circular chain. So what is that chain we are getting into, and how can I contribute to maximize the circulation of resources in that circle? So that is really the learning that is needed. So probably to do that, you need the support of the people. Because when you use, let's say, beverage pack, you eat yogurt from a cup. And if you, after eating it, you just hold it under the tap, clean it and put it into the dustbin, you are doing a great service. And then collect those yogurt cups separately in a bag and give it to a collector. Then it can be collected and recycled easily with low cost. But if you put it with all the muck you have in your dustbin, garbage bin, then it's a major process to clean it, because you have to remove total contamination before you take that plastic for, again, a food contact use or even other useful product, right? So that aspect has to be looked after through education. I think the children should be educated this circular economy concept and how they can be a part of it. And probably even within their homes or within the schools, you can have minor projects to do circular economy with some examples. So that is something which is necessary. And then we need to do through media and various other sources, education of the people. And they should learn, because actually washing this bottle or washing this cup and throwing it into a bin is not a burden, but it is the way they can help to keep this Sri Lanka a beautiful place. So therefore, there is a major responsibility on every citizen of this country to understand these concepts and to contribute in the maximum possible way to make it viable to collect and recycle.
We've been talking with Kithsiri Wijesundera, who is the principal consultant at Kiwi Strategy Consultants. It was very lovely having you on the show, and thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for joining us. Until next time, take care.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.